Hi, friends. Welcome to season 2 of Dysfunction Exposed. I'm Emma J. And yeah, season 2. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I'm not going to lie. It's probably the first time I've completed a mission in a long time. It's obviously a passion project. That's why. Um, Season 2, as I mentioned at the end of last season, I'm going to be taking it all the way back to birth, essentially because that's where the issues start. And you don't really think about it a lot of the time because you're like, yeah, I just grew up. I just existed. Well, no. Let me tell you why I've got multiple issues with this. For once, this might be the only season that doesn't have a trigger warning. And I say might because I think one episode will. But we'll play a little guess game of how many trigger warnings there will be in this season. And I'm betting one. So it might feel a bit more lighthearted than the first season. Because that was a hell of a lot of crazy in a very short space of time. So yeah, let's take it all the way back. Let me tell you what my family looks like. Because on paper, we all have a family. Everyone belongs to one. The thing is, when I think about my family, I don't think about people loving me unconditionally. I think of a weird genetic connection with strangers. Again, a very different perspective because you're taught when you're a kid and even as an adult, like family is everything. But what if you don't have that? Because that's a very quick way to feel excluded from the world. But let's get into this. So my family on paper all looks very conventional. I am the youngest of 3. I have an older sister, an older brother. There was my mum and dad. I don't have a lot of extended family in that sense. And as far as the family tree is concerned, I will make you a little diagram because it might be a bit easier to understand. I love making a diagram. But my dad's side of the family had all passed before I was even born, pretty much. So I never got a chance to experience that side. And my mum's side, my mum wasn't the only sibling. She had a sister and 2 brothers. And when I was younger, my mum's side of the family were quite involved. And I think it's because I hadn't learned to really speak yet. I think they all quite enjoyed the novelty of me as a child. And the same with my brother and my sister. Because everything I can remember about being around extended family when I was a younger kid, which isn't a lot. My memory isn't great from kind of 10 down. But the things I can remember, there was happy occasions within the family when we were small children. I never picked up on anything being really untoward. Like there was nothing significantly wrong at that point. But my parents divorced when I was 2. And when that actually happened, because my parents aren't the most emotionally intelligent human beings, should we say, they asked my brother, my sister and I who we wanted to live with. And I was my dad's daughter. Like, I was attached to this man at the hip. So instinctively, even as a baby, I decided that I was going to be with my dad. And that was the setup for our childhood, really. Me and my brother were with my dad 80% of the time, and then I'd spend a night a week at my mum's. And she had my sister, and my sister grew up with my mum's influence, and me and my brother grew up with a more dominant dad's presence. So we were separated really young, and it never played on me until I got slightly older how much I actually missed out on by not having those interactions with my siblings. Like, we never really gelled, any of us. And I don't know why. I don't know whether it was just because we didn't get access to the time together, that those bonds couldn't really flourish because there just wasn't that opportunity for us to be around each other. But then when I was with my mum and my sister, the dynamic was very different. I was very much a little entertainer when I was a kid. I wanted to be a pop star. The issue being, I didn't look like a pop star. I can hold a tune, so I might have sounded like one. But I was a fat kid. And that always felt like it gave me a disadvantage, inclusive of my family environment, which is strange. Like, I always felt like my nana always favoured my sister and my cousins because they were normal sized children and she could dress them up and do whatever the fuck she wanted, basically. And it's really, really weird hindsight, because you think back and you think, this could have played out very differently, but it didn't. So whilst I was growing up, like I say, I spent the majority of my time with two men. And I think that definitely changed my perspective when I was growing up in a lot of ways. And I'll get into that because that's a different thing altogether. But even though there was family involved, they were never close because there's always been this tension. And when you start to drill into generational trauma and you start to really dig in to your own behaviour, and then you start looking at your parents' behaviour, and then you start looking at their parents' behaviour, and you're like, wait a minute, this has been going on far too long. And my upbringing, now as a woman at 34, has it put me off having kids? Yeah. Yes, it has. And it's not because I don't believe I wouldn't be a great mother, because I know I've got that in me. But I've never, looked at another human specimen on this planet and gone, you're the one I want to recreate with. Like, you have everything in a human being that I could possibly want to make a brilliant child and to ensure that they're raised in an ethical, integral manner. But no, that's never come across my life. So that's point A. But point B, there's always this little seed of doubt in me that I might actually lose my mind again and I could do harm in subconscious ways to a child who didn't ask for all that. And I didn't ask for all that. Like, I didn't ask to not have those connections with my siblings. I didn't ask to be kind of the black sheep of the family. I was just a kid, being a kid. And like I say, I think everyone enjoyed the novelty of me when I was younger, because I was always so interested in music as a kid. Like, there's a picture of me. Again, I'll pop it in here for you. There's a picture of me when I was probably around 2, and I'm just sat on the sofa with a pair of headphones on. Exactly like this. Maybe I should do a little before and after. And yeah, that's just always been my life. Like, I've always connected with music on a level that I've never connected with my family on. Ooh, that's weird, isn't it? Because that's not what you think. You think first and foremost, you'd go to your family. You'd go and talk to your sister. You'd go and have a chat with your brother and do all these things. But no, my early life it just wasn't like that, really. And I know a lot of people look at their childhoods with such fond memories. And it's a weird thing to have no memory of your childhood, or a very sparse memory, because all the trauma that followed as I got older has basically put a big fat block on that. It's like, no, we can't remember all of that, because too much harrowing stuff happened later, and that just shut down the barrier in your brain and went, no, we can't have any more of that. So yeah, being a baby and a small child, I was great. But then the novelty starts to wear off. And while I was still quite young, in between going to my mum and my dad, there was one specific day. I must have been about 7 or 8. I distinctly remember my mum taking our black bags filled with our belongings and dumping them on my dad's doorstep, along with us, and being like, you fucking take them. And the story behind this was that my mum claimed that whilst we were on holiday somewhere in Greece or wherever the fuck it was, my dad had tried to take all of the child benefits away, which obviously was the priority, because it wasn't about the kids. Buster, fuck you off. It wasn't about the kids, it was about the paycheck. And I genuinely believe that me and my siblings were not born out of love. We were born out of convenience. And that's really shitty. Like, I wasn't even put here because my mum and dad were happy. They were just shagging in a rage somewhere, and they didn't even communicate, but then they ended up having 3 kids. My dad's always been like, yeah, she trapped me. And my mum's just not really said anything, because she doesn't like to get into the nitty gritty of that stuff. I think that is all you're getting for episode 1 of season 2. Because next episode, next episode, we're gonna dig a bit deeper, because we need to know where this went to really understand how it got so bad. Dysfunction exposed. Woo! I should really make a theme tune as well, really. Side notes. But anyway, on that note, this was Dysfunction Exposed. This was season 2, episode 1. I will see you for episode 2, dropping next Sunday, where we will be talking about my childhood. and how fucking mad it was. I'm trying to keep it so nicey, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I really need to reconsider my approach with this season. Because I'm kind of sugarcoating this a little bit. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But anywho, I'm Emma J. This is Dysfunction Exposed. I'll see you next week.